7:02 p.m. Welcome everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. Got some new faces, and we'll be doing an intro. Trista's here in a minute to regulate you, get you in right, slap you around a little, keep you in line. So right now is citizens communication. The commission welcomes comment on on park and rec items. Public comment that is made on an item is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action item, discussion, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will ask to state his or her name, address for public record. Do we have any public comment? Excellent. Okay. Going to move on to the approval of minutes. You should have been given the minutes from the November 21st election or meeting. I know we have at least 4 people here that were members at that time, so we should be able enough to take a vote. So review and ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 21st as written.
And I second the motion.
Any abstaining at a time? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 6-0. Next up is discuss only. Up first, 4A is I need to get someone up here to help me, that's the problem. Presentation regarding board, commission, and committee policy and procedure update.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Trista, I'm the city secretary. For those of you that have already heard this presentation, I think a yearly reminder is always good. For those of you that haven't, I'm going to cover a lot of rules in a very short amount of time. I also tend to speak very fast, and it's cold in here. So if I go too fast, let me know, slow me down, stop me, ask me questions. You can also come ask me questions later. I'm very easy to find. So first, as a general overview of what is the city. So we're a home rule city. That means that we have a city charter that really lays out our ground rules. I'm in a council manager form of government. Think about it like a CEO and a board of directors, if that helps. The city manager receives policy direction from city council, and then she makes it happen with all of us here. City council is elected, city manager is appointed by the city council. So what is your role? The city council can establish boards, commissions, committees, however they deem fit for whatever purpose they think they need. It can be permanent, it can be temporary, whatever they need to do. And the purpose of that is set out by the document that establishes that board, committee, commission. So each one will be a little bit different depending on when it was established, how it was established, and what they need from it. So this code of conduct that I'm going to go over now, this was approved by resolution. You've all received a copy of it some number of times. This was adopted by City Council for City Council themselves, as well as all of the boards, so that we have in writing, just lay out some other ground rules for fair, ethical, and accountable government. So I'm going to hit almost all the bullet points of them. I'll hit some high notes. If you have specific questions, go back, look at that resolution. It gets in more detail. You can always come ask me, and I'm happy to explain some of it. A lot of these, I believe, are pretty straightforward. Act in the public interest. You are here to serve the city, and we so greatly appreciate it. You're here to serve the whole city. Comply with the law. I feel like just life, not a bad idea. Conduct in meetings. Respect for process. That is the process of the meeting. And if you've served on multiple boards, each one will be a little bit different. And there's a reason for that, because each board is a little bit different. So understand the process of what goes and comes from staff and why. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Use of electronics is just there. Conduct business in open. I'm going to get into that more a little bit later. Decisions based on merit. Anything that comes before you, you should make your decision based on the merit of that application, of that request, whatever it is, based on what you are provided. Now, the next piece, share relevant information. If you hear or know something that perhaps wasn't provided, but you hear about it out in life outside of the board, please bring it back to the board to share it if you have information. Everyone should have the information. Conduct of public meetings, again, I gotta get to that in a second. Conflicts of interest, this is a very specific legal requirement. I will not get into it because it's truly just from the local government code. It's based on any financial holdings you may have. If you are concerned you may have a conflict of interest with something, let me know. Give me a call. There's a form to fill out. I cannot tell you whether or not you have a conflict of interest, but I can point you to the rules that will tell you whether or not you have a conflict of interest. These are some more. It's all financial based, depending on you or your relative. Gifts and favors, the general rule is you can't accept anything over $50. We are also very aware of the appearance of receiving gifts. So even if it's something that has a value of less than $50, if it might look like someone's trying to get favor with you, it's always easier to just say no. Appreciate it, no thank you. Use of public resources, you are serving on this board and you will get certain things from staff other people don't get. You'll get time that other people don't get. But outside of that, you will have access to public resources on the same level that everyone else does in the city. Representation of private interests. If you ever need to represent private interest, you will do so for yourself. You cannot stand in front of your own board and ask for something. It gets a little bit complicated there. The same with advocacy. You will need to be, and I'm going to kind of pull the social media piece in here also. If you are sharing something on behalf of the board, it has to be agreed upon by the board that whatever it is, you speak only for yourself as an individual private citizen in any other space and time, unless the city has or the board has said you get to be the person to talk about this. The same for the news media. If someone from the media wants to come talk to you about something, direct them to our communications department. We have a fantastic staff in our comms department. They do a lot of really great work, and the news media knows them. So if someone comes to talk to you about it, send them to our communications department. If you want to talk to them yourself, again, you will be doing so as an individual private citizen, not as a representative of the board, unless the communications department has said you're the representative for the board. Independence is, the city council have this in here to say they can't come in here and tell you how to vote. You are independent from city council, you are providing them recommendations. Positive, constructive environment, personal political advocacy. Again, if you do so as your own private citizen, not as a representative of the board. Any questions about code of conduct? Awesome. Open Meetings Act. You are all required and have taken this open government training. It is required by the Attorney General, who manages the Open Meetings Act. It's a policy that basically states all meetings of a governmental body will occur in public. That definition of governmental body, you can get really nitpicky on. The government code gets pretty specific. The city of Pflugerville's decided for transparency's sake, all boards, commissions, committees will function under the Open Meetings Act. What does that mean? A couple of things. It means that anywhere where there is a meeting, it has to be open to the public. So a meeting is where there is a quorum of you and business is discussed. Whether or not action is taken, if it's just a presentation from someone and there's a quorum and it's related to Parks and Recreation, that's a meeting. It also means that we have to post notices of our meetings. That's the agenda in front of you. It has to have the date, time, place, and subject matter to be discussed, all posted 72 hours in advance. And that's 72 hours to the dot. So it's not business days, it's 72 hours. What it also means is if the place changes between the posting and the date of the meeting, no, it doesn't. You can't change it. You cancel the meeting and you repost. Or you make it work. There are exceptions for emergency situations, but those are very, very clearly defined. And the subjects to be discussed have to be specific enough that people know what you're talking about. It can't just be discussion regarding parks. Sure, yes, of course, but what are we discussing? So it has to be specific enough, but not so specific that we limit your ability to have a full discussion. If a meeting is held and an agenda wasn't posted, anything that happened is basically void and you get to do it all over again. So there's two types of sessions in open meetings. One is the open session, that's this. We're all talking, we're being recorded, we're taking minutes, people can walk in and out however they want. Will be the vast majority. A quorum of you have to be present in the room, so if I could count. If the quorum of you left the room and there's not enough left, the meeting will go into recess. We can't keep going if you leave. Minutes are kept and are public record, and then we also are recording, and that recording will be kept for 2 years. The other type is executive session, which I don't anticipate this board ever having to experience, but there are times when you can have private conversations, and those are also very clearly defined. It's consultation with legal attorney, discussion about real estate or negotiations for real estate or security-specific matters. Anything else has to be done in the open. In an executive session that is behind closed doors, it's not being recorded. Someone in that room takes what's called a certified agenda, which is kind of minutes. It's hitting the high topics of this is the subject that was discussed, here's when we entered. If any action has to be taken, that does still have to happen in open session. So if there's a meeting where there's only an executive session item, you call to order an open session, you go back to do your discussion, you come back out, and you either adjourn or you take any action that you need to take. But the action itself has to be done in public. So what isn't a meeting? That'll be any social function unrelated to public business. So planning and discussion about parks events, that'll be a meeting. But at the actual event itself, that's not a meeting. You can enjoy that event. If you're attending a workshop or some press conference, ceremonial event, that is not a meeting. However, you can't make it a meeting. You don't want to hang around and have a quorum of you who are talking about business. That can become potentially a violation of the Open Meetings Act. So I like to tell boards, count to 4. If you count to 4 and you're not in a meeting, be the one to walk away so that you aren't accidentally having a quorum of people talking about public business. Any questions about Open Meetings Act?
Tristan's available for like birthday parties,
This is amazing.
family reunions.
So much fun. I love this.
Weddings.
Public Information Act is, we're the government, so everything we do is public, and it is the public's. So the records we make and create are generally assumed to be accessible to the public. There are, of course, exceptions. There's confidential things. But this is what allows people to submit open records requests. I bring that up because your work now on the board is government business, and so there may be government records. There will 100% be government records. You may be creating government records. And I think every year I say I need to switch the order of this because I want to tell you the solution before I tell you the problem. Government record is anything in transaction with the business of the city, no matter what it's on, no matter where it is. So if city staff is involved in any emails, any correspondence, if they send you an attachment, if you send them an attachment, we have it already, and you don't need to keep it, that's ours. It's in our system, it's in our network, we're good. Anything that you have on a personal email that may be related, just go ahead and send that over to Shane. Make sure that we have it in ours, because if we have it, I will never have to come to you to say, I need you to send me a screenshot, I need you to forward me all these emails. We will maintain anything. So always copy city staff. Avoid texting about city business. That's not to say, it's not a text, hey, I'm 5 minutes late. That's if you start having kind of full-blown discussions about something that's going to come before the board, something that has come before the board. Avoid texting. Send emails. They're easier to search if we do get an open records request. If we do, what will happen, if I get a request for, I want, correspondence about this particular item, I will email you all and say, I need you to tell me whether or not you have anything that's not on the city network, that hasn't been sent to staff. If everything that you have sent to staff, you can just email me back and say, nope, you have everything. If you do have something, that's when I'll need screenshots, I'll need forwards, I'll need copies, whatever it is. So it's always best just to keep staff included, because you will all be temporary custodians of government record. That's the official term. It just means that just because you hold it, it's still the city's. So when you leave the board, if you have anything, you want to give it back to staff. Anything on your personal device that's not related to city business is not in any way subject to any open records request. So if you keep an email and you have it on your personal device, I will never look at it, I'll never ask for it, I don't want it. I will just ask for that one thing to be forwarded. So don't ever be worried about that. I bring this up just so that we keep records for a very specific amount of time, and this is what tells us how long we have to keep records for. We can always keep them longer, which we do, which is usually like business needs. Sometimes we have to keep things longer. Sometimes it's just hard to get rid of things. Emails, just keep staff on emails. We'll take care of it from there. This is how you find me. Ashley Lobb is my deputy. She's also available for questions and whatnot. I'm always happy to help if you have anything. Otherwise, I'll leave you guys to some probably more fun stuff.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Trista.
Okay, so we would be going into 4B, but what we normally like to do when we have Parkland Dedication, usually development or representatives of the development are here, and so we try to speed that up so we can get them in and out, and then we go to the director's reports and the other stuff after. So in the absence of a chair, which we will try to elect tonight, if you are fine with that, just head nods, we'll go to 5A. Just discuss and consider. It is, you'll be discussing and considering Parkland dedication at Weiss and Kelly Lane. Just a refresher before Larry gets up and talks a little bit about the project itself. And then we have the developer here as well for a presentation and questions. Parkland dedication is how we grow our park system in a lot of ways. I know not everyone realizes that, but we as a city don't go out and purchase a bunch of land. We receive land as development happens. It's growth paying for growth. There's two ways that for the most part, there's two ways that we can deal with the Parkland dedication piece of the growth, and that is land being given as development comes on. So in this scenario, I think the thing is 17 acres total development. They would owe about 3 acres of parkland. So they can give us 3 acres of parkland for those 17 acres, or they can give us fee in lieu, which is they're giving it to us at a rate per acre. So that's one thing that y'all get to consider. And then there's parkland development, which is if they gave us that land, it would just be green space, right? It wouldn't be a quality of life component. So parkland development is money that we can put towards playgrounds, trails, infrastructure, those types of park improvements. If they don't give us the land, we're able to combine that money with the parkland development in lieu of fee, and we can use that together in a couple different scenarios. We can use that for the most adjacent park pocket of any size. So whatever park's adjacent to this property, the nearest to this property, can be used for this funding. It can be used in the zone of this fund. So if there's 3 or 4 parks in this zone, regardless of size, it can be used. Or it can be used towards community parks only. If it's outside of the nearest park and it's outside of the zone of that park. So then what we consider a community park is a park that has a restroom and a parking lot. Because then any resident can drive to that and use that park. So this development pays for what is potentially going to be improvements towards Weiss and Kelly Lane, but we could use that at the lake, which would be a close proximity park, a community park, but we could also use it for 1849 or even Pfluger Park or Gilliland Creek, because the state of Texas says even the residents in this neighborhood can get in their car and drive to whatever community park there is, park, enjoy it, use the restroom, the facilities that are there. We cannot use it on a pocket park outside of whatever is closest to that area or in that neighborhood zone. So we can't see that there's a pocket park far, this is on the west side of town, so far on the east side of town, and then just improve it. Because those residents in this development in the future I guess they could potentially drive that pocket park, but there'd be no place to park, and there'd be no facilities to use if they needed it. So that's what you're working through tonight. Larry's gonna take you through the first step, and then we have the development team here as well.
Good evening, everybody. As Shane said, the development is on the corner of Weiss and Kelly Lane, just southwest of that. It is multifamily, 17 plus acres actually. It is 17.46 acres to be exact. The developers are proposing 175 units, a mixture of 1 and 2 bedroom quadplexes with a mixture of detached and attached garages. The developer is here tonight. It's Andrew, is that?
Yes, Andrew Graham. I'm with Kinley Horn, the civil engineer, and I represent the developer. I'm not the developer for themselves.
Okay. What they're proposing, based on the number of dwelling units that they have and the development acres, this project is eligible for 135,000.
Yeah, I'll round it up. You'll have to
Okay.
get the exact numbers.
$135,841.86. And then there's a development fee associated with that of $87,792. Those amounts together are $223,633.86.
So $250,000 potentially going towards the park.
This is a lot of the information I just gave you. The reddish area on the aerial is the development site. They are proposing some on-site amenities to include 2 dog parks, small and large size, a pool, outdoor kitchen, clubhouse, an area for yard games, a decomposed granite path with some native plantings and some benches, and then a detention pond on top of that. And as Shane said, it's close proximity to Lake Pflugerville Park. That's the blue area to the southwest. There are a couple undeveloped areas nearby, Dry Pond Park and Randick Tract, undeveloped. To the west, to the east is Verona, but that's another pocket park that probably wouldn't be eligible for funding with this amount. And this is just some of the project information. If, based on the formula of development acres and dwelling units, it would be 3.12 acres required, but they're requesting fee in lieu. With the formula, that makes that $135,000 amount. There's a parkland development fee below that. Again, that total is $223,633.86. And, whoops, do y'all have any questions for Andrew?
I want to point out before we get to the questions, the only way we bring to y'all fee in lieu, and this is for the folks that are new and a refresher for the folks that have been on the board for a while. The only way we'll bring fee in lieu to y'all is if they have on-site amenities, which they are proposing. Because if you frame yourself around what Parkland Dedication is, when I talked about it earlier, it's growth for growth. If the 8 of y'all that are on this commission were the city of Pflugerville, and every single one of you had an acre of land, there'd be 8 residents and 8 acres of land, so 1 acre per resident. If me and Larry moved in, you would want to require us to provide our 2 acres, so everyone would still have the 1 acre each, or you'd want to provide us the money that the city would need to purchase that land, or you would be willing to offload our impact onto your 8 acres with an improved play value, whether it was trails or playgrounds or et cetera, right? So our money would either go towards providing the land or providing more value to the 8 acres that the city had. And so it's growth paying for growth. We're trying to make sure we offload into our park system at a rate that the park system can handle. The way we do that is to ensure that not only do they pay the fee in lieu of rate, but they also have on-site amenities to help mitigate 500, 800 residents ultimately offloading into the lake as the only source of quality of life for them. They have amenities on site And then they're also able to access any amenities that anybody else would as a resident in the community. So it's important to point that out.
So just to add to that, the amenities listed there are private for their residents. They are not the same as public parkland.
Yeah, they're not public parkland. That's
Right.
in addition to
Right.
what they have.
Just
Yep.
wanted, yeah.
I have a question. Is that in the city limits of Pflugerville?
This one is, across the street wouldn't be, yeah.
Okay.
The
Now,
limit is Weiss and Kelly Lane. So like that subdivision to the right, I think
and,
it's West Chase Reserve, all that's ETJ.
and also like just north of the Lake Pflugerville, that's not city limits either,
That's
is
not
it?
city limits either.
Yeah, so that's what I was asking. And part of it, a while ago, you were talking about decompressed granite, maybe you can answer that. Is that gonna tie into Lake Pflugerville on the path? Or is that just something for them?
So the decomposed granite trail
Right.
is just internal to the site. The site is building 10-foot trails along Weiss and Kelly Lane, which is a subdivision requirement.
But they'll be concrete.
Concrete
Yeah.
trails, yeah.
Those will connect concrete.
Trails are a big thing.
So
They're
those
the
currently
biggest thing.
end, if you come from the lake north, they end at the light there that goes into Village of the Hidden Lakes, right?
I,
On that side.
we'd have to look, yeah.
I don't remember.
As subdivisions come on, not only do we require,
But once they build this, there will be a
Yep.
10-foot wide sidewalk all
Yeah,
the way from their
connecting.
subdivision to the.
yeah, as subdivisions come on, part of, not the parkland dedication requirement, but the subdivision requirement is trails along major arteries, so. And we have enforced 10 feet, so it becomes a trail instead of a sidewalk. And then it goes on our trail system. So we'd be maintaining the concrete connection points, but not the DG inside the development itself.
That's right, Stan.
Yeah, getting that completed out's great,
Yeah.
except that once you get to Weiss and Kelly.
Yeah, you gotta have more development again, yeah.
If you don't live in this subdivision, it's like, oh well.
Staff is making the recommendation. So we'll need a motion and a second to approve like I said, if I'd known a consultant, we'd have made them wait all night. No, I'm just kidding. There's a consultant here representing development that you can ask if you have any questions for them in particular. And we're just looking for action.
What's the timeline?
They're looking to get started on construction mid-year, and I think a year after that, they'll start turning units.
Nathan, can you hear?
I move that we approve.
Okay, we've got a motion from Stan.
A second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining? Okay, it passes. There you go. Thank you.
Progress.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Not us. We can't be.
Okay, because we got some new faces and we've been all over the place tonight, y'all have already done business and I don't even know if everyone knows each other. So we wanna make sure we do a little of that as well. So I'm gonna ask everybody, staff included, everyone in the room, whether staff or commission, just name how long you've been a resident, what you do, and what you're looking forward to in 2025, and I'll kick it off. Shane Mize, Director of Parks and Rec, been a resident / city employee for 5.5 years. I run Parks Commissions poorly, obviously, but I get to lead the team that oversees the park system. And we've got some really cool bond projects that we're wrapping up and some park playgrounds that I think once we get those replaced, even though, and I'll talk about some of the things we've done in our park system, but once we get these last couple of playgrounds replaced, we won't have a playground over 10 years of age in our park system, which is incredible. And I think unlike most cities in the country, no less in the state. So very excited to see that happen. And we'll go to our left with Jeff.
I shouldn't have sat here yet.
I'd have just gone to my right.
I'm Jeff Ashea. I'm the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director. I have been here since March. Some days it feels like I've been here for 10 years, and some days it feels like I just got here yesterday. But for my position, I really work with anything that's kind of in the future. So park planning, our park development, all of our park projects are within my purview, and then our urban forestry program, our kind of administrative side of things. And I like to say everything Shane hates. That's what I do. So
Vegetables.
and he kind of stole mine because it is under my purview. We've got some bond projects that are going to be coming online, starting construction, and some of them completing this year that we're really excited to be able to show y'all. Some that are kind of, in the athletic realm, getting us to where we need to be. We're a little behind in some areas, and some that we think are going to be some top park and recreation facilities in the state and country, and we're really excited to be able to be working on those.
My name's Christian Rogers, new commissioner. I've been a resident for coming up on 4 years now. I currently do environmental permitting and compliance for a renewable energy developer. And I'm looking forward to getting more engaged. I did Pflugerville 101 last year and really enjoyed the experience, and really looking forward to kind of getting more involved.
Stan Taylor, I've been a resident of Pflugerville for 22 years, I think. And then 5 years before that, just outside the city limits. I'm a software engineer, and I was elected to a one-year term on the commission year before last, and then re-elected to a two-year term last year, so this is my second year of that two-year term. And I've just enjoyed it and want to continue.
Hello, I'm Elise Tatum. I forgot the question. I've lived in Pflugerville since 2017 and in the area since 2013. I am an outside plant engineer. I design the cable and fiber layout for telecom companies. And in 2025, I am looking forward to us finalizing the parks, getting them all updated. Did we finish all the new coverings already?
The shade coverage?
Yeah. So that was what I was looking forward to, because I forgot we
Mission
finished already.
Just nicked it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We got it in.
And expanding our trails. I'm done.
To the left? Okay. Hey, I'm Ray Trevino. This is my second year being on the board. This is my second time around in Pflugerville. I moved here in 1984 and moved out in 2005, then came back 3 years ago. So I've been here three years this time around, and I have a 11-year-old kid who I'm very interested in all the parks and all the rec stuff, all the trails, everything that's going on. The first time around here in Pflugerville, there was nothing. I mean, this is just totally different. It's just so great to see everything that's happening. So I'm glad to be part of it, and welcome the new guys.
My name is Melissa Call. This is my second year, and I was on the Deutsche Fest committee for several years, putting entertainment on stage. And I've lived in Pflugerville since 1985, in the area since 1976. Raised 3 kids in in schools here. I was the chamber executive assistant for 10 years. Worked for FEMA for several disasters. I'm a legal assistant, paralegal, blah, blah, blah. I put together classical concerts at First United Methodist, about 30 concerts in the past 10 years. There's an art show that's going to open up tomorrow, actually, at the library, and it is 10 Mexican artists from all over the United States that are coming as an international exhibit that's being put forth. That's my 6th art show. Co-founded a stage company, professional stage company, because so one day we'll have a stage here, we just don't know where it's going to be. And
It's site agnostic right now.
yeah, and I've been a big proponent of I'm trying to think of all the city amenities, the dogs, the thing over there that barks all the time. Yeah, I get my dogs from the humane, from the help me out.
Animal shelter?
Thank
Paws?
you, thank you, from Paws. I usually sit next to Shane, but something happened tonight.
You're in better company over
Part
here.
of my contract re-up.
I am gonna say out loud though, tonight I did sort of kind of get contacted by the news media in a circumventual way, kinda sorta. And they were looking for citizens, I'm just giving y'all a heads up, they were looking for a citizen's opinion on downtown east and possibly Main Street cutting through and all that kind of stuff. And they knew that I knew a lot.
Yeah.
And I basically redirected them to the city. And they kept saying, I'm glad Trista said something, as she said, you know, if you're a citizen. I'm
Yeah, you
like,
could do it as a citizen, but if that's not what they're asking for, yeah.
not even going there.
That's probably why.
So that was K-View, and they were pretty insistent that the story had to be gotten this afternoon, so it may have come out on 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock, just giving you a heads up.
Gotcha.
I have no idea. So anyway,
Awesome. Thank you.
My name is Efren Resendez, and I've lived here in Pflugerville, I guess, 35 years or something like that. Lost track. Yeah, and Pflugerville with a population of 4,000, what park?
yes. Yeah.
So I love all the changes. I just wish it was done 10 years ago.
Sure.
So catching up is probably a little bit hard thing to do, but I'm very glad to be here. I don't come from this arena at all. First part of my life, I was a wide area network systems analyst for the state, and then got bored with that and went back to school and wound up in education. And so I was in charge of technology in the classrooms for a state agency. And look forward to being able to do this and have fun being retired. That's about it. Well, I do a lot of volunteer stuff, so Special Olympics, South by Southwest stuff, and so just keeping busy.
Hi, I'm Kanita. I've lived in Pflugerville for 10, almost 11 years, and Austin a few years before that. Let's see, I'm a project manager. I work for UT, so hey. I do a lot of other things. I just like to put my foot in all kinds of different buckets. I play sports. I am a football ref. Like I do all kinds of stuff.
Wait, you're a football ref? I needed to hear that.
I do.
I'm impressed, yeah.
No, thanks. It's hard. Things I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to learning more of the process and being involved.
Okay. I'm Jennifer Bridges. I've lived in Pflugerville for about 9 years. I work with chimpanzees. And then I think what I'm looking forward to most...
Not us.
Yeah, not them, different ones.
Different ones. They're better behaved, probably.
Some of them are, yeah, actually.
Better dressed.
You should know by now, you can't just say that.
I'm a positive reinforcement trainer with chimpanzees and like a behaviorist, so socializations and just training them to do things that like help with their everyday care, so a lot of voluntary participation. I work with a lot of geriatric animals, and they have a lot of the same ailments as humans, so like diabetes, arthritis, we do physical therapy, just different things like that, so it's pretty fun. What I'm looking forward to most in 2025 is I'm hoping that I'm going to get reappointed to the pollinator and tree care subcommittees, so we can do more with that. Yeah. So,
That's fun.
yeah.
Cool.
I think you're safe.
There you go.
I'm Jonathan Hansen. I'm the rec superintendent. I've been with the city, it'll be 2 years at the end of February.
That's wild.
It's crazy. So I am in charge of the rec branch, which essentially has 3 parts underneath it: our business operations, our rec programs, and then our recreation facilities. So that includes everything from pools to pavilion rentals, all of our rec programs, aquatics. I oversee about 20 staff members, and then during the summer that balloons to like 185 with all of our part-time. So it's a fun job, keeps me busy. What I'm most looking forward to in 2025 is the Downtown East Rec Center structure starting to go up. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Junior Rodriguez. I'm the park superintendent. I've been with the city 17 wonderful years. Our team oversees all the maintenance of the parks, the trails, all that. We have about 21 full-time staff members, and then with part-timers were about 32, I believe. So pretty big, robust system. What I'm looking forward to in 2025 is just continue working with Shane and these
Look
guys.
at that.
Because I
It's going right.
I
You need to
really
raise.
do believe that,
About the minutes.
that we have incredible parks, incredible trails, and I think we're one of the luckier teams in the area. So,
Yep.
yeah.
We'll let you go. You shouldn't have showed up tonight.
It's all right. I'm Regan Anderson. I'm just a citizen. I don't work for the city of Pflugerville. I've lived in the city for 3 years now. I actually do work in Parks and Recreation, though, for a nearby city of Georgetown. I've been there for about 5 years now.
Behind enemy lines.
Enemy within.
Yes. So 2025, living in Pflugerville, I just want to get more involved in Parks and Recreation where I live also. It's fun to do it in Georgetown, but also a lot of what I do doesn't really then affect me or my family living here. And I'm excited to see the new rec center go up over the next year or so.
My name's Scott Langer. I'm also a private citizen.
When you term out, you shouldn't be allowed back in.
So I was on the commission for 7 years. I termed out. What do I do now? I started the Parks Foundation, so the Pflugerville Parks Foundation, and that's what I'm looking forward to in 2025, working with the city to get that up and running.
Awesome. Thank you all for participating in that. Now we're going to do a little bit about the department.
I'm sorry.
Nathan.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm the broadcast assistant for Pflugerville. Look at the questions too. I have been with the city for I think 3 years and have lived here since 2019. And what I'm most looking forward to is, as cheesy as it is, also looking forward to the events that Parks puts on because it's always an interesting time.
Yeah. Like an
Good word.
office thing.
Good word for it.
You're engaging the people behind the camera now. So what are you doing?
Breaking the third wall.
You'll
fourth
see
wall.
him, I know, whatever wall that is. So here we are. So yeah, it is a little like the show. If you remember the show, I'll admit it is a little like the show. We're 45 full-time staff, 18 part-time year-round, and then we have 100 plus seasonal staff in the summer, closer to 150, I guess, to be honest. And we provide quality of life to the residents of Pflugerville and the surrounding community. Organizational breakdown, everyone kind of covered what they did. Our core functions are park operations and maintenance, rec programs and special events, facility management, rentals, permits, events, and field allocations, and then parkland, trail planning, and system management. We have over 1,700 acres of parks, greenbelts, and open space. Just got to our 60th mile of trail this year, or I guess late last year.
Yeah, that was a picture of us celebrating.
Yeah, it was us. Yeah. 33 acres of ball fields, 34 parks. We've added 2 more playgrounds to those 34 parks. Rec center, classes, programs, citywide special events. We have pavilions, gazebos, picnic tables, a skate park, 2 dog parks, 3 outdoor pools, 2 splash pads, and a 180-acre lake and water reservoir called Lake Pflugerville, which happens to be our most popular park, or one of them, for sure, with over a 250,000 annual visits to that park alone. Park improvements. So a lot of people are interested in our ability to improve the park system, and we do that in a couple different ways. We do it through the general fund, which is the money that is allocated to us by city council every single year. We do that through park dedication and park development, which is cool for the newer folks because you just got to see us add $250,000 to that fund tonight. Of course, that didn't hit our bank tonight, but when they do plat and permit that facility, we'll see that that funding. Capital improvement program, which is part of something that you'll get to be a little bit more intimately aware with in February and March as we work on our 5-year CIP, and y'all will make recommendations to planning and zoning and ultimately city council on what our 5-year improvement program should look like. And then we have alternative options, bonds, which we're working on right now with some of our park improvements grants, which we have right now, and partnerships like our Pflugerville Community Development Corporation, PCDC, who we have been very successfully able to apply for $300,000 a year in parkland improvements over the last 4 or 5 years I've been here. Committees. So the Parks and Rec Commission has subcommittees, which Jennifer's already put her name in the hat for. We have bond and steering committees. Those are a little bit more infrequent. When a bond cycle comes up or something that needs a steering committee comes up, we will sometimes see y'all as a committee or a commission are automatically drafted into that committee. Thinking right now of the Old Town Park Master Plan, right, for example, where we're using Parks Commission and Planning and Zoning to help gather and direct the plan for that.
And that's when you get food.
Yeah, that's when we do
You don't
food.
get food here
So
now.
not, well, come on, what is this?
Nature Valley Bars.
Nature Valley Bars over there. It's food. Unbelievable. There's a box of them.
Oh my goodness. Don't go check that box of chips.
That's it. That's a decoy.
Fake.
We serve the Special Event Subcommittee, and that is a subcommittee of two city council members who are overseeing our special events or advising us on special events. And then we work with the Parks Foundation as well. We actually are.
Which two city council members?
It just switched. It'll be Council Member Ryan and Mayor Pro Tem Holiday.
Okay.
That's our new two. And we haven't met with them yet.
Okay.
That switched in December. We are actually adding a committee to this. Council just approved it Tuesday night. And I guess I can talk about it now, or is it the next slide? Yeah, no, I'll talk about it now. The Deutschenfest committee was a citizen committee and a citizen-led initiative 48 years ago. And as the city grew and as the festival grew, it needed some city resources and some city oversight. And then it needed more city resources and more city oversight as that transition happened from year 1 to year 48. And over time, we've had a citizen committee that at first was non-appointed, just good intentioned volunteers gathering every year to help that event. At one point, city council was seeing that the majority of the funds were coming from the general fund and ultimately residents' taxpayer dollars, and just wanted to make sure they had appointed a committee, so it wasn't just whoever was showing up. And that worked for a while, but we started to have less and less attendance. We had some quorum issues, and it's just a lot of work for that committee, to be quite honest. That committee had a lot of boots on the ground work. That was hell week for anyone that served in that committee. It was 27 or 28 hours over the course of that weekend, working 12-hour days out there. And so seeing the transition from what it had started out at year 1 to what it's become now, truly a city event with city resources, city staff, PD, planning, public works, et cetera, everyone involved. It is now transitioned. It will no longer be a citizen-appointed committee by the council. It'll be a subcommittee under this group. So Deutschenfest will fall back under this group's purview. It will have special event subcommittees that Jonathan's team will lead with y'all, just like we do tree care advisory board updates, and we'll post those and citizens can come and still engage just like they would in the previous iteration of that, but it'll now be under the function of this board. So
Good.
Congratulations, y'all didn't know it, but you also now have a new responsibility.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got it. You didn't get very far, did you? One thing we use to guide us as a guiding document is our Parks and Rec Open Space Master Plan. It's pretty common for most government agencies to do that, and that's because inevitably there is going to be a transitional change here in leadership. There's going to be a transitional change. The mayor's going to term out, city managers are going to come and go, and you want a master plan that has been used through public engagement, vetted by a council, and that can resist any types of leadership changes along the way. So ours, we wrapped up in 2023. These usually go for 10 years, and best practice is at the end of 5 years, you reevaluate to make sure you're still on track and any improvements need to do. So you do a 5-year update, 10-year, you redo it. Our master plan in 2023 had really an industry-leading public engagement process. In fact, we won 6, 7, I think we won 7. Right now, currently, I think we won 7 national or state awards from the process we did in our master plan. It had over 30,000 touch points, so for a town of 75,000, it's still something that most industry would have a tough time replicating as far as that type of touch point rate for a town of our size. You have the executive summary for y'all tonight. Everyone should have that executive summary. It summarizes the 285 pages, which Jonathan looks at every single day.
That's why you knew.
That's right. Because when I ask him a question, Jonathan goes, "Oh no, let's go look at what the master plan tells us to." So it's
Page 723.
he does, he knows it. And so this is an executive summary. By a show of hands, who doesn't have the physical 200 plus page document and would want it? Because we're going to print those and make sure if you want it.
Questions. That's two separate questions.
Right? Who doesn't have it and wants it? That's one question, right? So no one wants
Got
it.
it.
Perfect.
Okay.
If you ever want it, we'll
We
print
have them printed
some.
already.
Yeah, we've got 6 or 7, but we didn't have enough for everyone tonight.
I don't have it.
Yeah.
It is
PDF's online. It's
Pretty bad for the Parks Commission.
So, like I said earlier, it's our 10-year guiding document, and we've been rolling out our 18-month plan. We did some action plan items off that, and we're starting to really see some UDC changes we're working on as well, some Parkland Development Manual changes. We now know that Parkland fee that y'all gave the gentleman tonight is below some of the peers in our community. We're gonna raise the park per acre cost. It's pretty soon not gonna be $43,650. It might be double that or triple that. And so, fee and lieu will be something that they'll have a tougher decision to make. Well, do they really wanna part with that much money, or would they rather part with land, or vice versa? And so we do know from some of these documents that we're deficient in some areas, and we're working on those.
Prior to 43,000, what was the last one before that? Like, how often does that actually get updated?
Some cities make it a point to update it every couple of years. We did not, partly because our master plan was out of date. We went through COVID and we wanted to see what the development world looked like post-COVID. And then in the middle of that, the department transitioned from James Jimenez to me, and really city management changed from Brandon Wade to Serena in that time as well. And so there's just a lot of changes going on. So it's been 10 years since we've updated that, and I'll be honest, I'd have to look up what the number was before that. But I would say if we were hitting a high mark of excellence, we would be doing it every 2 years. Or 3 at the latest, and we haven't. So that's something we're gonna be working on. Scott only asked me about it, I think all 5 years he served with me on the board. So I'm glad he's off. No, I'm kidding. We get 60 miles of trails now in our city, and part of what we discovered through that process, and something we kind of knew, is that we have a lot of trails, folks. We have a lot of trails compared to everyone we talk to. And the standard, the quality of life standard, if you said this is what a good city has, it's a mile of trail for every 2,000 residents. And I'm fixing to show you a couple slides that our master plan team pulled for us, and we haven't updated them. So some of the numbers are a little old, but it'll get you an idea where we were at when we were comparing ourselves to benchmark cities in Texas. Most cities are severely under that 1 mile for every 2,000 residents, and we're over it. We're at times and a half what the quality of life standard is. And so when we started to realize that almost no other city was even really near to us in that number, we started working with that master plan team, and ultimately we have gone out and talked to council and have claimed the Pflugerville as the trail capital of Texas. And we've basically said, if you think you are, prove it. No, we think we've got the data to show that there's no city that's near touching us. We've done a marketing campaign. Council has supported some branding efforts. And Jeff is working with city management's office on taking that through legislation right now, through the House and through the Senate, and getting that officially
having them pass a resolution
and signed by the governor that we would be the trail capital of Texas. So
Nice.
very excited about that. This was some of those things I was talking about earlier. You can see Pflugerville to the left. That's what our mark was. Of course, you'll see 56 right now. We're at 60, so you'll see that was in 2023. compare that to the 2023 numbers of Round Rock, right? So they have 120 residents compared to our 75,000, and they have 20 miles of trail. So for every 2,000 residents, they're cranking out 0.33 miles of trail. You see Cedar Park, Allen, Conroe, Georgetown, etc., Kyle, Leander, New Braunfels, Church, San Marcos, North Friston Hills, and Pearland. Those are what we would call our benchmarking cities. Those are cities that are a suburban agency near an urban center of around our same size and growth patterns. So those are the ones we look at when we're evaluating our pay versus those cities pay for any type of employment reclassifications. Those are the ones we look at for growth. Those are the ones we look at that are benchmarking cities. So you can see how we compare with our benchmarking cities. Only Allen was really close to us in a number as far as trails per capita. Next is how we compare to other large Texas cities, or those very popular DFW cities that people always tell me we compare to. So you can see how we compare to Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and their numbers per capita and their overall numbers versus their population, and then you can see how we compare to Frisco, McKinney, and Plano. So you can see why we went after that Trail Capital of Texas declaration. Like, there's just no one that's got as much trails as we do. And this is just what growth looks like. So you can see Pflugerville in 2021, and you can see us compared to Round Rock and Cedar Park and Allen and what those core cities were. Then you can see in 2022, when we brought on our master plan team, they added those people in the middle that we were starting to compare ourselves to as well, just for benchmarking. And what this is how much percentage of residents live within a 10-minute walk to a park, which is a quality of life standard. That's something that we're striving for. Our master plan calls for us to be at 93% at the end of 10 years. So
How much?
93%.
93.
Yeah. You can see we've grown from 78 to 80 to 82 in those 3 years between 2021 and 2023. And then 2023, that was a year they started to just look at not only outside of our benchmarking cities and those popular cities that we're comparing ourselves to in the DFW area and the largest cities in the state, but just some other cities of comparative size and how are we doing compared to them. So you can see how we compare to Burleson, Mansfield, Arlington, Denton, Southlake, Keller, Grapevine, at least in the year 2023. And you can see that very few cities have the amount of trails we have and then have the amount of population within a 10-minute walk to a park. On top of that, and it's not a number you'll see here, over 90% of our residents are within a 10-minute walk to a trail, which is a high number compared to almost any agency. I mean, Round Rock's numbers, for example, with only 20 miles of trail in their whole city would have a very low number compared to ours. So those are just some quality of life standards that when you go see your siblings or family members, you can rub in their face when you're talking. So here are main roles of the commission: make recommendations on management, maintenance, use and improvement of park and rec facilities, make recommendations concerning real property and concerning dedication development fees. Y'all did that tonight. Make recommendations regarding recreational programs and events, submit approval of the staff-led 5-year CIP. We're going to start that next month. Serve on the Tree Care Advisory Board and host quarterly meetings, and now, congrats, serve as the Deutsche Best Advisor. We snuck that one in on you.
So we get a raise.
Yeah.
So we get more food.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see about that.
Another bag of chips.
There's some Nutter Butters in
Double.
How long have they been there?
I don't know.
So this would be the actual update. The update tonight, you won't have Trista talking to you every meeting, and you won't have that lead in the very first time, everyone else. So now we're to the actual update. So I want to talk a little bit about Downtown East, just to make the folks that haven't been on the board before a little bit more familiar with it. Downtown East started when not Downtown East necessarily, but the project or the idea of doing some improvements started in 2018 when City Hall did a needs assessment, followed by 2019 when the Rec Center did a feasibility study. There was a bond election in 2020. We used the information from the feasibility study in 2019 to put the Rec Center on the bond. At the time, that Rec Center was a $40 million election for what we thought would be about a 78 to 80,000 square foot facility. One of the things we heard from the rec center, another quality of life standard that we look at and we were very deficient in, was you want your recreational facilities, your rec center facilities, to have a 1 square foot per population. So if we have 75,000 people, we should have 75,000 square feet to serve them in. Right now, we have 75,000 people, and this building we're in is 23,000 square feet. So we're severely under in our ability, which is why you talk to pickleball, there's never enough courts for them. You talk to the kids playing basketball, there's never enough courts for them. You talk to the volleyball players, talk to the folks that dance in there, the karate people, the Zumba. Every single person would say there's not enough, and that's because we're taking what should be an offering of 75,000 square feet, and we're dividing it up where everyone only gets 23,000 square feet of it. So everyone gets a deficient amount to grow their program, and everyone is obviously hanging on with us as we build this new facility. But that was the start of that bond program, and that got approved. Ultimately, the city acquired Pflugerville, the Pfluger tract that you see highlighted here. It's 29 acres. Across from HEB off 685 and Pecan. And then City Council approved a master developer funding in 2022 from the stakeholder recommendation. Now there's more to this than what I've highlighted. Obviously, there's lots of meetings, lots of citizen engagement, lots of council discussions in this process as well. One of those things was we realized coming out of COVID that the rec center, we wanted to build the residence we couldn't afford because it got pretty. DOS Rec was our model. DOS Rec is the recreation center in New Braunfels. It's about 78,000 square feet, and it cost them, I think, $27 or $30 million. So we were like, oh, do price escalation. We think we can get it done in $38, $40 million, and we could get an 80,000 square foot facility. We found out pretty quickly we were going to build a facility that was about 40,000 square feet. So we were going to spend a lot of money and do a very poor job of serving the community still. Better than what we were doing here, but not to the quality of life standard we thought it should be. Ultimately, we worked with PCDC, added another $30 million from PCDC to get it to a $78 million project with some public-private partnership that's folded into the city hall side of this project with utilities and some of the buyback with the land and some of the other stuff they're doing. To get a rec center, it's going to be a $78 million rec center. It's going to be 140,000 square feet, 142, I think, is right around there. It is now going to be the second largest rec center in the state of Texas, and we will obviously be able to grow into it, which even building a rec center at 80,000 square feet as fast as the city grows would have made us deficient at some point pretty quickly. And so we're investing in the future of this community by saying we dare you to outgrow this building. And it'll be a while before we outgrow that building.
Which one's number one?
Allen, they just built one. And I promise you, as competitive as I am, I have already talked to the architects to see if we could find 9,000 square feet somewhere in the building. And if it was possible, we would have done it. And I would have called Allen personally and rubbed it in their face. But I was able to. So it is what it is. But the the Downtown East Rec Center itself is going to have the rec center. It's also going to have what Allen doesn't have. That's what we should really be focusing on, is this world-class plaza as well. So the plaza will have a stage. It'll be turfed. It'll have some outdoor play elements. It'll have a pedestrian area that will ultimately host our farmers market in the future. City Hall, I don't know if the mouse comes up on here. Yeah. So this is the rec center. This is the plaza. City Hall will be here. Parking garage will be here. They've looked at what a building could be here. It'll have other parking on this area as well. It could even be like a food hall they've talked about, and there will be hotels and multifamily on the backside of this as well eventually. In future.
Hotels, plural?
Future phasing, I don't know. I know they're working with.
Hey, could you go to the previous slide?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Okay, so using your little mouse, your pointer, where are they gonna cut through to get to Old Town Pflugerville, the existing downtown?
You want me to show him?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wanted to see that finger over there. Okay.
She'll give you a finger if you don't.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, so this is First United Methodist Church, right?
Right.
So here's Main Street up here.
Sure.
Here's the Cotton Gin. Cotton Gin's gonna come down, come our parking lot, okay? So that'll cut right through the back of our parking lot.
Okay, through there?
Yeah.
Okay.
go across. We'll have a pedestrian and a vehicular
That
bridge.
was part of my question. You know, I
And
know
then-
we got traffic, it's gonna be cars going through there, but also pedestrian.
Yep.
And it's gonna tie into the trail?
Yeah, in fact, we're gonna be bringing something to y'all in the future. We think, when you think of this trail system now, this trail corridor system here, you now have a rec center on it with some improved connection points. Upstream, you have what is currently the rec center and the skate park and Bowles Park. And then going further downstream, you have our outdoor fitness court that's out there, that's shaded, that we put at Gillen Creek. And then you have the Gillen Creek pool, which takes you to all the new amenities that we replaced in Gillen Creek, plus the ones we're doing in the future, going across that creek to Pfluger Park, to Finnig, etc. So we think that trail corridor is unlike any other trail corridor any other municipality has. And so we are going to do a master plan for that trail corridor specifically. How can we do fitness, but also social spots, also public art in these trail corridor areas, and really connect the old rec center plus Bowles, which we are working actively on making Bowles potentially the spot of our destination play space, then going up to the rec center, then going up to the National Fitness Court, to the public pool, to Pfluger Park. It's a very loved section of our park system. It's one of the prettiest sections of our park system when you're talking about that Myrtle Pfluger portion of that tract as well. And we think it deserves a master plan of its own, so we can really take advantage of the opportunities that are along it.
Has any consideration been made to use the bridge that's here, that used to be the old bridge here on Desau Road, there?
Yeah,
Across?
we've talked about it. And there's some money in the CIP to reallocate that bridge somewhere. It isn't going to be able to serve what we need to get across that lake, but we do think it's got some opportunities to do something at the new destination play space, or potentially
You might
even.
explain that bridge, that's historically marked, if people don't know.
Yeah, so the bridge that you would have passed by potentially if you were coming up Emmanuel to the facility, it looks like a pedestrian bridge, right off of this intersection. No, sorry, down here, off this intersection you're coming out of it.
One more down.
Old Austin Hutto and across the Pecan. That bridge has been a bridge that's been in the community for over 80 years. It was a vehicular bridge until it became a pedestrian bridge. It's seen a couple different iterations already in its life, and we're dedicated to saving it, rehabbing it, and putting it someplace that it can be appreciated for the next 100 years.
Yeah, when you Google historical bridges in Travis County, that's one of the ones that comes up.
Why you would Google that?
Because what he was talking about was something I've been talking about, is moving that bridge over there.
Well, I brought that up to Shane a year ago.
So the master developer is Griffin Swinnerton. The architects of the rec center themselves are FGMA and BRS. The plaza stage area is McCann Adams.
I told him.
To answer, Ray's question, you can kind of see here the potential conceptual layout of that bridge and street coming across and what Main Street would then look like as it's extended. This is in draft form, folks. This might not be what it looks like. I don't want to hear anything in 2 years, but we're getting pretty close to finalizing the design. And you'll see this is the rec center. There'll be retail. So there'll be a restaurant on site with a couple of commercial retail spots along the way. The plaza, parking, City Hall, a cafe at City Hall that's open to close, and so people can find some places to eat out there. So we'll have a couple restaurants and a couple of retail spots on site, and then this parking that's across from retail will be a parking garage.
Where's the stage?
Right there. It's
So is it more of an amphitheater?
there's the stage, and there's a stage storage system there. This is a conceptual design, a schematic of what the building could look like, a 360 view. So we're gonna take 2 minutes and see if this works. Oh, the dirty dog. Let's see. It worked in my office. I'm not very good at this stuff. Okay, well, just imagine this thing spinning around. It's really amazing. I'll send the link.
It is cool.
I'll send the link to everybody. Didn't work.
I can imagine.
It's just amazing. Hold on, just for 2 minutes, don't everybody close their eyes.
Describe every detail.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Okay, so among all the other master planning we're doing, we are also a part of our mobility master plan, and I'll try to cover this as well as our consultants did. But this is kind of a culmination of the 2020 Pflugerville Transportation Master Plan, which had almost everything to do with vehicular traffic and safety and planning for the future. And then in 2022, the Aspire 2040 Comprehensive Plan, which is a citywide comprehensive plan. And then the 2023 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan that Shane talked about earlier. And a lot of the elements in that plan had to do with trails. They didn't go too deep into it, I think, because they knew we were about to undertake this.
We're gonna roll it into this.
But they did kind of set some parameters for when our trail plan was updated, which previously, I don't remember what year, 2013. So we're going off of a 12-year-old trails master plan at this point. And again, all culminating in a plan that has all those things put together instead of kind of taken pieces. So all of these, tie into each other. Our trail system ties in with vehicular traffic and transportation, and so instead of having those in different places, and as we look at future growth and work with development, having to reference all of these other different plans. Putting that all together. The Trails Master Plan is incredibly important for us because as development occurs, similar to the conversation we were having about Parkland Dedication, that is how our trail system grows as well. So if a development is coming into a place and the Trails Master Plan that's been adopted by this body and by City Council says a trail is supposed to go through that development, that developer has to provide that trail. We come in and we'll provide connections, so if two developments are a quarter mile away from each other, the city will provide the funding to connect that.
Yeah.
But we don't get to a future where we have 150 miles of trails, which I think is our goal, by just funding that through general fund and bond. That development has to help us get to where everything that we know and love about our trail system and what is Pflugerville currently continues in the next 20, 40, 50 years. So you can go to the next one.
Oh, what do you think about that?
So they did some online engagement. They had about 4,500 distinct website views for their kind of map layout that they had people provide comments on, let them know where there was concerns or something that people would like to see. They had 709 map comments, and then they had 358 surveys that were completed.
It's not 30,000 though, is it?
It's not 30,000.
Let's point that out.
Is this the new one? Okay. So this is the trails plan as it stands right now. This process is still ongoing. We're about halfway through at this point, I believe, in the schedule. But you'll see a lot of kind of grid-like pattern in the eastern portion. That's all ETJ for Pflugerville, but will be Pflugerville at some point. So when we get to build out, making sure that our trail system not only follows roadways, but it also follows creeks and floodplains, and again, ensuring that when development comes through, they're providing a lot of these connections and trail enhancements for us. I could try to go through some of this, but the consultant knows these words better than I do. I have to.
Yeah, we could bring him
ask
on.
him.
We'll
Yeah.
have the consultant.
Yeah.
Bring him some more.
A couple important things though. So those stars that are around what is really city limits, there's not a lot in the ETJ quite yet. Those are important connections to other cities. So we actually have a meeting with City of Austin, Round Rock, and Hutto next week, and we've already met with Travis County to ensure that this plan coincides with their plans. So, if we know where there's current connections, we know if there's a trail that kind of stubs to our city limits and we don't connect to it yet. So those connections are provided in this part of the, or in this update to the trails plan, but what we don't know without having conversations with them and reviewing their plans is what the future looks like for them. So this is allowing us to make sure that if Hutto has part of their trails plan to make connections down our way, we're making sure that we're providing that as well. So as we develop those trails systems. You saw a really good example of that. I don't remember what the trail's called, the one that connects from Manor all the way to downtown Austin at this point. That doesn't just happen by chance. That happens from a lot of future planning, and that's what's happening here. So eventually our trail system, where it doesn't connect to those cities, will do so.
Is MoCan part of that too? You know, that, the right of way?
It is not. I think they've had conversations.
Yeah, because that's
about
supposed to
that.
be tying in Round Rock to Austin through Pflugerville, I heard.
Right, as
Yeah.
part of their transportation plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's really not.
they have wanted to do autonomous, is that what it is, driver cars? They've had
Yeah,
a couple
a lot of
different
ideas.
iterations.
Right.
They're very protective of that land. I mean, the city would love to have.
But it
more
goes right
access
through
to it.
downtown Pflugerville.
Goes right through, yeah.
I mean, right through that gym,
Be a
all that
fantastic
area.
trail.
Yeah, it would be. It'd be great.
It's TxDOT owned.
Yeah, it's TxDOT. But we are communicating with TxDOT, so as part of any
Because
of
we
this
got
plan.
TxDOT coordination.
That happened in December. Like I said, Travis County coordination happened in December. A lot of this stuff is coordination on the transportation side. TxDOT has some really big projects happening. I mean, Travis County has some big projects happening on the east side, really in our ETJ. And so, like I said, our big meeting for us is next week with the surrounding cities to make sure that we're catching everything. They looked at their plans and made sure that they matched up, but we wanted to have that conversation. That way we know that we're providing important connections. So if there was something that was maybe left off of one of their plans and they know about it, it's just not online, we're making sure to coordinate that.
Cool.
Any questions on the mobility master plan? Like I said, that's our trails master plan, so as the trail capital of Texas, that is pretty important for us in making sure that we can hold on to that crown for the next 40 years.
right.
Because if we're gonna call ourselves the trail capital of Texas, we can't let someone pass us up pretty soon.
Especially Allen.
I know. We're getting close.
And they'll be coming for it. The second we're designated by the state legislature that we're the trail capital of Texas, they'll be coming for it.
What's our ETJ?
What's ETJ?
For them? For Allen? Well, luckily, they're more landlocked up there
Yeah.
than DFW.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I would be
think
interested
so.
in seeing what their build out is.
They don't have the build that we have. Well, I think they're probably.
Because they grew so fast.
Yeah, they've already hit there.
Maxed out.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll just get to a point where they can never catch up. Okay, so
But they can buy Dallas.
They probably could. But would they be able to afford the parts they want? That'd be the question.
all right, so moving on to our other master plan, which several of you have been part of our Old Town Park Master Planning Steering Committee. And so you've kind of seen this process. We got to a concept, and we're kind of adjusting that based on what our last meeting looked like. But this was a pretty quick turnaround on this project. And so for some kind of background for our new members, the historic water tower that's in Old Town Pflugerville, and it's the one you can see from downtown, the one you can see coming in on Pecan. It was decommissioned several years ago. I don't know what year. They took the tanks out. It's just a blank slate at this point. And right across the street from that is Old Town Park. Not a lot of people know that it's there, and not a lot of people that live adjacent to it use it. It is our oldest playground, I believe, or one of
The
our
oldest
oldest
one left,
playgrounds.
for sure. It's one of the oldest parks we have in our park system.
And the reason it hasn't gotten replaced is because we were looking at doing something, extra special with this space, because this is, not only is it a historic water tower that a lot of cities, have, it's also right in the middle of Old Town Pflugerville, right across the street from downtown, historic downtown. And so we really wanted to make this a special place. So we brought on BRS Architecture, who is one of the architecture firms on our recreation center, but also TBG Partners, which is one of the premier landscape architecture firms in the entire country in building parks, public spaces, plazas, things like that. They are about as innovative in this space as you can possibly get. So this is a 1 acre piece of property.
Oh, they've done Alliance Children's Garden.
They've done, yeah, if you're familiar with some parks in the area, they've done Alliance Children's Garden. That's right across Lady Bird Lake from downtown.
Peace.
They didn't do Peace Park, but they used it as an example.
Oh, that's right.
They've done Easton Park, which is
That's
a
right.
brand new development, southeast Austin, which is incredible. So
Lady Bird.
they've done some fantastic work across the state, across the country. But this is a really small piece of property, but we wanted to try to do something that makes it a really special place for the community. So we did a lot of public engagement in keeping with our past. We've got high expectations for public engagement at this point. You can't have 30,000 touch points on a parks master plan and then go away from public engagement. You've got to. We're bought in on that. So we did have about. I think it was 3,000 or 4,000 touch points on this master plan. We had
As much as mobility, huh?
yeah. We had setups at Rock the Block. We set up at Deutschenfest, and then we actually did some public engagement on site because this is a site that nothing has been happening on for many years. This is an older part of town. We wanted to make sure that we brought this community in on the process, and so in speaking with some of the community members that are directly adjacent, we found that there was some trepidation about doing something at this park, mostly because they had kind of heard through the rumor mill something was happening that didn't involve them, and so we made sure to involve them. Just anecdotally, we heard from a family that lives 2 doors down from that playground from Old Town Park, and she has 2 kids, and they do not use that playground. They walk 20 minutes to the playground that's down the road from them because there's no reason to go there. So they were really excited about the idea of this being a space that they can use, and we also wanted this to be something that highlighted the kind of history of Pflugerville, while also telling the story of water and trying to get really creative with this space. So they've got some concepts. We aren't showing any of the concepts tonight because when they brought us concepts to our last steering committee meeting, I think we're pretty much mixing 2 of the concepts that they brought us, and they're working on putting all of the feedback gathered from this committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission, who are also a part of that steering committee, and trying to figure out, how to put all those things together to make what everyone wanted to actually see.
That was a pretty intense meeting, and we had food there.
Yeah, when you had food, it was fantastic.
Reach your hand in that empty box.
You ate all the chips last time, so they're gone.
And you were so close a while ago.
But we will bring that back. I will tell you, there's been we had a meeting with TBG and BRS a couple weeks ago, and I've really not been around a more creative group of people in my career, and so they took everything that they heard from that committee, from the public engagement, and they're going to be working on something absolutely incredible with that final
I
concept.
liked the way they pivoted. We would start talking about stuff and they go, okay, let's see what we can do. And they had about 4 or 5 people and they go, yeah, listen, that was a very cool meeting.
They're a pretty awesome group of professionals. So we're lucky to get to work with them, and hopefully that won't be the last time either. So next steps, they'll be working on that, and we plan on bringing this to back next month to kind of show you what concepts they've worked on. This was supposed to be about a 5-6 month process, so we're not going to continue to drag it on at that point. So once we get that to y'all, we'll take that to council then, kind of discuss what they would like to see in February, and hopefully have this plan completed and approved by council in February or beginning of March.
Yeah, we're chomping at the bit to improve that park. When you look at all the park improvements that we've done over the last 2 or 3 years, it's stark to have that one just sitting there.
So I'm thinking about the lady with 2 kids. So the general public does not know what we're doing with all of this. You know, they don't necessarily get on the website. Are you guys thinking about putting out flyers or anything just to kind of keep people up to the process of what's going on? You know,
I think
what
once we
happened
get
next and-
some support or approval from council, I think we'll probably do something with comms.
I'm thinking a big digital sign on the water tower, what's next?
Just like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
like
we'll absolutely push it
shiny.
out, and you know, all of our master plans are available.
Well, I know that,
And a master
but
plan is
available
yes,
and
we'll
actually
push
people
that
are
one
gonna-
out because that's one that you want to generate momentum on as well,
Right.
and you want to get people excited. I
And
think once they see what
positivity.
if they end up
that group
supporting
has done.
some of the designs we've seen so far, I think people will get very excited about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We just began the process of an athletic field feasibility study. So with all of the 1,700 acres of parks, 60 miles of trails, all of the access that people have to parks, you know, we have 82% of our folks living within a 10-minute walk of a park here. The one thing that we are substantially behind on is our athletic field availability. And so in order to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to not only just get up to snuff, but also grow as the city grows and try to get ahead of this and then offer athletic opportunity for all of those folks that are in the ETJ once we get closer to build out. We've brought on a firm called Park Hill to conduct an athletic field feasibility study and figure out what and where and when we need additional athletic fields. So a really important part of that is working with our current sports associations. So really for us at this point, that's football and soccer. We don't have baseball and softball fields quite yet, though we are adding a few to 1849 currently. That construction started and will complete by this fall. But even then, we will still be really behind on our athletic fields. But then one of the things that we have found out, and y'all have as a commission, you know, heard before, and if you're new, you maybe have heard this or maybe haven't, but Pflugerville is the most diverse zip code in Travis County. And so when we think about what sports we want to offer, that can't just be the traditional football, soccer, basketball, baseball, and softball. You know, we really want this plan to look at maybe underserved sports associations. We know that we have folks playing rugby and cricket out in our parks in certain areas. So do we have enough of a need to offer specific spaces for those types of sports? So again, like I said, assessing your current needs, looking 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and where we need to be at that time. And then also identifying specific pieces of property, particularly in the ETJ where, you know, land is still available. You know, identifying properties that would work as sports facilities so they can help us make those decisions in the future. So they'll provide a recommendation to council on how to help us get there. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I got a question. On the baseball fields that are just at the bottom of that page, you know,
Yep.
I guess that would be east?
Northeast.
Northeast, yeah. How many fields are gonna go there? Is it baseball, softball, or is it a combination of both?
2 baseball and 1 softball.
Okay.
As of right now, and then an event lawn that will provide for probably some of our events, but then if someone was running a tournament out there. It's 3 fields. It's not gonna run a lot of tournaments at this point. We do have potential for growth. We have some concept plans, depending on whether we can get there or not with funding, to add 3 more to 1849. But there was some issues, there was a lot of issues with grading there, so that if you go out there, if you've seen it, you can see how far down those fields are. So when those concepts were done.
But they're flat.
15 years ago, they're flat now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're flat
When those
now.
concepts were done 15 years ago, some of that wasn't taken into account. So
Yeah.
the cost of this was far higher than it was originally anticipated. It's gonna look awesome because it's gonna be tiered. It's probably gonna drain incredibly well. They'll probably be the only ones playing after we get rain. But like I said, cost was a lot higher because of that.
And how about lighting? For not only those fields, but these football fields and.
So we've got 1849, we'll probably talk about these projects, but 1849 phase 2, which is what the baseball and softball fields are. They'll have Musco field lighting. They'll have the best of the best that we offer at soccer.
That way the ref can see.
And then there's another phase of 1849, it's technically still part of phase 2, but it's adding those same field lights to the football fields. It's also adding a few hundred additional parking spots, so it's filling in all those gaps, the soccer fields where there's grass in the middle of the parking lot, and then filling in the parking kind of south of the football fields.
Isn't it 400 to 500 parking spaces total?
Yeah, almost 600.
I think it's more than that. I think it's 600.
600 parking spaces total.
Nice.
Yeah. And then some drainage improvements that needed to be done.
Speaking up for roller sports, just curious if there's any thought of putting just different flooring in different facilities, just so it's accessible to everyone and not just one sport.
Oh, you were the roller derby lady. I thought so.
So the rec center, we hadn't talked about different.
We have talked about the ability to put things on the court for other, but not
Probably
installing.
Installing the courts, but I think repurposing the old rec center for something that would be much more like a full-time rollerblading type experience on that court. That court's gonna go, we assume virtually unused in some ways, because everything's gonna be dedicated to the new facility, and so that could be an option as well
Yeah.
to look at.
That kind of goes back to the conversation. These aren't things we're thinking about until it gets brought to us.
Just in general, I think flooring, just because I've run into this problem a lot, I never thought about it myself, but people put in flooring, but it's only for one sport when you could use it for multiple things if you just think
We
about
just
the
engage
floors.
them in the field allocation, we might be able to say there's a roller sports need.
Yeah. Yeah, I think including indoor athletic facilities in that conversation is good.
And sort of kind of in line with that, what you're doing right now to build out to the future, I'm gonna talk about an art gallery. And if you've never been to the library with an art show, the way that the art is hung, there's railings along the perimeter and then wires come down. It's very easy to install art. And if that type of system was put throughout the rec center, you would have an automatic art gallery where you wouldn't have to hire additional staff because you would have staff already. Obviously, keep it out of the basketball courts because you don't want anybody knocking, just saying.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
I've got the Swinterton Griffin business card right there.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Let me text you.
And every art installer in North America. Deutsche Fest change, we kind of already talked about it. But yeah, that's y'all's baby now. Other things to update, things we'll try to update from time to time. So we did the Central Texas Rodeo. We won an award for our maintenance program with the goats.
All right,
For our new board members. We've brought on goats now 3 times. The summer iteration that we brought on the goats, they got away from us in a flash flood, and we had to have juniors guys, PD, Public Works, all out wrangling them in, and I had to alert council, and I told them that I would do a shirt honoring the situation, which is that goat shirt right there. It says whatever floats your goat, and it's got a goat in a inner tube. And
I think Jennifer needs to be part of that too.
I have that shirt.
there you go.
Yeah.
And we ended up winning an award for it, and then our maintenance team went out and competed in the rodeo, which is, it's a rodeo just like any other rodeo, but it only involves the park maintenance activities. So it's a zero turn mower through a competition. There's the
Backpack blower.
Backpack blower. You've got the tow and trailer, nail drive, the plant identification, irrigation.
More like the maintenance Olympics.
Yeah, right. And is there one other thing? I don't know.
Plant ID.
Yeah, I did play it. They do the home run derby, but that didn't count. Yeah.
Excavator one.
Oh, that's right, the big one, the backhoe. Yeah. And so they compete against the other municipalities in the Central Texas region, and if you qualify for state, you go and compete at the state level. And we had 4. The guys that are smiling the biggest are the guys that are now getting a trip to compete at the state. We had 2 guys finish in the top 5 in backpack blower, and 2 guys finish in the top 5 in backhoe.
Sweet.
Playground update. So we talk about internally a little bit what we call the playground lottery, which is You know, you go visit a family member for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and at some point you want to get away from folks, and you're like, I'm gonna take the kids to the park, but you don't know what type of park you're gonna get. You know, you really don't. And it could be a park that's not well connected to a trail, it might not have shade, it might not be a new park, it might be 20, 25 years old. What we're proud of here is that that's not the case for anyone in Pflugerville. We have 100% of our playgrounds have 100% of design shade on them, whether it's integrated or an awning system like we have in front of you here. And we have an awning system for over 75% of them. But sometimes whether it's the tree or the span of the playground, we've had to do integrated. But 100% of our playgrounds have some sort of design shade on them. And the average age of those 32 playgrounds is 5 years of age right now, right at it. Which there's no one in the state that could touch those two numbers, to be quite honest. And once we finish the 3 or 4 we're working on in the current system, we won't have a playground in our park system that's over the age of 10. So what it says is, not only does your neighbors or relatives or those cousins you only deal with once a year not have to play the playground lottery, you as a resident don't have to play it. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter your parents' social, economic status. It doesn't matter if your dad is or mom's the president of a bank or is just someone that works hard in a blue collar job. You're gonna have access to a quality playground that has shade, that's new, and that's accessible off a trail. And that's what we really care about. Something we're very proud of. The 3 or 4 we're working on right now, Jeff can talk to more about here, just kind of update you a little bit on each of these, starting with Central Park.
Yeah, we're gonna have a really fun, we'll talk about it in a little bit, we're gonna have a really fun park tour this year, because we got a lot of new fun things to show y'all. But Central Park at Falcon Point is the park facility, playground facility you can see there. That is a full-on playground renovation, also new what's called poured-in-place rubber surfacing, which is a fall surfacing that's...
It really doesn't have food in it. Don't grab that box.
She's not gonna mess with corn.
Appreciate that.
That's a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot of bit better than the engineered wood fiber. So we're trying to put that in as much as we can. It's a little pricey, but, and you also see the most extensive shade canopy I've ever seen over a playground. That thing is a work of art when you go out there and take a look at it. But that park's also going to have, that playground's also going to have some natural play elements that are still being added. So most of this is done, though they're not going to open it yet because they're still doing some additions on the side, adding some custom boulders. Yep. And then it's going to have a kind of a custom slide that uses some of the topography out there. There's a little mound, and so the slide is going to go down that hill into the playground area. We've also got at Wilbarger Creek Park, which is a fairly new facility. There's a large turf mound area. That's fantastic, and people really love it. It does get pretty hot, and it is wide open to the elements. So we had the opportunity to use some of our last remaining ARPA funding, which is the American Rescue Plan Act funds, to put some shade over that. I think that's starting this week or next week.
Next week. Weather permitting.
Weather permitting, yeah. We'll see how cold it gets. So we'll have some shade over that turf area as well. Allow people to just kind of go lay out during the summer. Cambridge Estates is going to receive a playground renovation very soon, and Lake Pflugerville Park is going to receive some updates soon as well. All right, so Gillen Creek Park turned out a little bit more complicated than we originally anticipated.
Everything.
So Gillen Creek, we already knew this, is in a floodway, and so it takes a little bit more surveying and care to make sure that you're doing the right thing in the right place. So the Gillen Creek Park playground that was existing has been renovated. It's got poured-in-place rubber surfacing as well. But anything that was additional, so that playground's going to see a pretty large expansion. Anything that was additional had to go through some FEMA studies. And so that took an additional, what we thought potentially might be an additional year, but we have since found out that it's probably going to be able to start construction this or next month. So that was some really good news. So Gillen Creek Park is going to see a pretty substantial playground renovation ultimately. It already has seen a lot, but it's going to see a lot more. Cambridge Heights Park saw a brand new playground renovation in addition to a challenge course, which I think is molded after an NFL, the NFL Play NFL challenge course. So not only did it get a great playground facility, it also got a challenge course that the teens can really enjoy. Teens are not often thought of in playground renovations, and so they're really hard to program for just in general in Parks and Recreation. And so when we can put something out there that appeals to them, and every time I drive by it, I see some older kids using that thing already. It's really exciting. Zola Park, which is what you see here, saw what might be my favorite color scheme on a playground we've ever done. That got not only a brand new 5 to 12 and 2 to 5 aged playground renovation, which is what you see here, new swings, but it also had a new zip line. And then we had the trail improvement. It was a DG trail, completely renovated that to concrete. And then it also had 4 workout stations for the adults that are going and using this park. It's a half-acre, quarter-acre park that was, I think, already pretty widely used by the community. I think they really enjoyed it. I've gone out there twice, and both times I've had people stop me just to talk about this playground for a while. And so it's a really cool facility. Stonehill Park, and this is the Stonehill Sport Court. So if you didn't see this, and for new folks, you may not have gotten a chance to see this, but Stonehill, we had the opportunity to do a sport court in partnership with Austin FC and the 4ATX Foundation, which is their nonprofit arm. So we built a sport court. You know, you would normally just think of that as a basketball court with some lights and, really that's it. This is different in a number of ways. So one, it has what's called a golfer soccer goal system. So not only is it a basketball court, but it also has a set of soccer goals that are on hydraulics that come out under the ground. And a kid can go and do it and just like pull it up. And so it becomes a soccer, I guess futsal is what that would really be, court, just with basically the push of a button. And then Austin FC partnered with us to bring on a nationally renowned kind of urban muralist named Emily Eisenhart to paint this gigantic, beautiful mural that incorporates both Austin FC's kind of color scheme and the city of Pflugerville's color scheme, and then some elements from that park.
She nailed it.
And it's incredible. We kind of went all out on that ribbon cutting for that park. We loved it so much. We said we had to have this on a shirt. We got shirts. We got prints, and it was just an awesome project to be a part of. Austin FC and the 4ATX Foundation was fantastic. The artist was fantastic. We're trying to figure out how we can bring her back on to work on some other projects, which you as a commission will see at some point. If we can get her to do some things in our park, she'll get to approve some more of her work. But that's something that we're really proud of. I would encourage you to go out there just to see the art. I mean, it's incredible.
It's beautiful.
And the lights are going out. Or they're working. Look at that. Lights are working finally.
Where exactly is it? Is it on Pfluger Lane?
It's behind
over
that
behind
Stonehill apartment
Target
complex
and
off of,
everything.
is that Kingston Lacey? No.
Northeast, southwest.
That's Stonehill.
It's behind
You have to go
Stonehill.
past the
Shopping
goat,
Like
Center.
right?
literally
Past the
behind.
goat.
Past the goat.
West of the
South.
goat.
Yeah,
Past the goat.
It's going east.
Yep.
East
You
and
know
south.
the roundabout where that the goat
Yeah.
spot is? If you take that roundabout and you go away from Target,
West.
West, yeah.
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay.
It's right behind that apartment complex. Where the dog park is.
Yep.
And the splash pad is. We just built this in there as well.
It's beautiful.
And then we've got several bond projects to kind of provide updates on. Wilbarger Creek Park had a phase 2, which was south of what was existing Wilbarger Creek, which was trail extensions along Wilbarger Creek. Some of which just kind of go through the middle of that property, but some of which go along the creek itself. So you're kind of in the woods. It's really, really beautiful. It's got additional parking, an additional restroom, and then what is going to be one of the premier dog parks in all of the Austin area. It's pretty much done. I think that thing is supposed to start. Yeah, that thing's supposed to open and be fully completed. Probably early February, first week of February. What's that?
We have premier dogs in
Premier
Pflugerville.
premier dog park for premier dogs. But it's awesome. It's got some elements of it's got some artificial turf. It has some parts that are grass mounds, so there's like hills out there, limestone blocks for folks to sit. I mean, it's a destination dog park. It's something people are going to drive not only across Pflugerville, but probably from outside of Pflugerville to take their animals to. We're about to break ground on Murchison Park, which is a fairly small bond project, but it was part of our undeveloped parks master plan from years ago, which is going to include some trail extensions. So we'll be up above 60 miles of trails after we get that done. Another playground, pavilion,
Natural play.
some natural play, some pollinator gardens. So
Where's that at? Murchison Park?
It's where the splash pad, the dog park is.
Okay.
At Falcon Point.
Yep.
Falcon Point, okay, on that side. All right.
Kelly Lane Park will be bidding out as a project in the next couple months. That is, I don't know specifically how to describe where it is on Kelly Lane, but definitely impacted by the work on
It's
Kelly
about
Lane.
the time you start to curse.
No, that's the whole street.
Yeah, it's right there.
Look to your right or left. That's where that is.
It's across from the golf course.
And that'll include, some trail extensions, a playground, but that'll also have our first outdoor pickleball courts that are in our parks system. And I'm sure people will be ecstatic about that. Pickleballers love pickleball. And then we kind of already discussed what's going on at 1849 Park.
Jonathan Hansen, rec superintendent. I'm going to cover some of the rec side here. Just a quick reminder, all city facilities, including the rec center, are closed for MLK Day on January 20th. We are also doing an additional closure. So we did this last year. It's an annual maintenance closure, February 24th through the 28th. Our staff is going to be doing training. They're going to be cleaning. This is leading into our summer heavy programming. So they'll be cleaning the facility and we'll be doing some annual maintenance. If you remember about 2 years ago, the rec center gym got a brand new floor. Those floors last 10 years, but they offer a service where you can have them resurfaced, and that doubles the life of the floor, so we could potentially get 20 years out of that gym floor. So we're going to do some of those types of things during that closure. So if you show up, you will not be able to get in. The doors will be locked.
After spring break at the rec center, and most of our park system actually is what we would call our peak season, middle of March through middle of October or so. And so this is a way for us to close down, make sure staff are ready for what will be our busy season and that the facility is ready for our busy season.
And this is standard. Other rec centers, Clay Matson and Round Rock, Georgetown's rec center.
They all do different times. Some people do it during the holidays, some people do it something else, but we found right before peak season makes the most sense to us.
So upcoming too are our reoccurring classes. You want to always see this slide on the rec side because these often don't change. But there is some good news. If you remember this last year, the people who were offering our gymnastics program and our karate program, shame on them, they wanted to spend more time with their grandkids, so they stopped providing those courses. So we were able to find a new gymnastics group, and so they are now offering classes on Thursdays here at the rec center. We have our yoga classes, total body, high-low, and then we also have a Zumba class, which is new since the last Parks Commission meeting. So we now have a Zumba class that you can attend as well. For our upcoming programs and events, we have Unplug and Explore, which is a program where kids get to go out to a different location. So we shuttle them there, and then they get to explore, go hiking. So that first one will be at Warren Wildlife Center. We have, if you didn't know, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a day of service. It's meant to volunteer and give back in appreciation for Martin Luther King Jr.'s service to the nation. So on the 18th, the Saturday beforehand, we are doing a day of service at Windermere Park. And so we are going to offer the ability for people to clean up right where the goats were just at. And so you'll be able to
Wear your boots.
Yeah, wear your boots. You'll be able to help clean out the parts that the goats have eaten, which are now essentially just stems. Trash is also much more visible because the goats took care of all the foliage. And then we're going to try and have some wildflower seeds for people to toss out as well. Couple other programs. Puzzle Palooza is coming up. That's a puzzle competition that was really, really popular last year. And then we have another Unplug and Explore going to the Inner Space Caverns. We also have our senior trips. As a reminder, these programs are meant to get seniors out of the house visiting different places in Texas, but saving them from putting miles on the road and having to be in the car. So these are our upcoming trips. All in all, these trips are saving the seniors 405 miles and about 6 hours and 49 minutes of time. So they're still getting to go out and explore. You can see this was them last month at the LBJ Museum. So still getting to explore, but not having to drive to do it. Upcoming, a big thing is our Daddy-Daughter Dance. This is our third annual. It's on February 25th from 5 to 7:30 at the Pflugerville Lions Club. It's for girls ages 3 to 12 with their dads or their male role models. So it's a chance for them to come. There's snacks, drinks, and then there's a DJ there as well to allow them to have a dance. There's a photographer who takes pictures. So it's a really great time. If you know someone who would be interested in that, please pass it along to them. It does require registration. It does have a ticketed entry, and that's $10 for residents and $13 for non-residents.
They'll have a DJ or live music?
I believe it's a DJ.
Okay.
Yeah. So next up is the 2025 special events. So as an event staff, we go through and we try and plan out the next year of events. We have to start booking acts for those events, setting up vendors, all those kind of things. So
we can send. We have a one-page calendar that we can send out to y'all as well. You can take a photo.
So the first upcoming special event would be Music in the Park, which starts in March. We also have our Egg Palooza, which is our Easter egg hunt. Slice of Pflugerville, reminder that's the event that's unique as our name. It's a cultural festival, gives you a chance musically and food-wise to visit other cultures. Rock the Block, which is a new program from last year, super popular. The picture to the right is actually one of the Rock the Block concerts that's downtown, and we partner with our breweries and distilleries and all that in downtown. Red, White, and Boom, which is a partnership between the city of Pflugerville and Typhoon, Texas, to do a fireworks show at Typhoon, Texas. That'll be on July 4th. Deutschenfest, which this year will be on October 17th and 18th. And then Festival of Lights, which is always that first Saturday in December. Speaking of Festival of Lights, it was this last year on December 7th.
How's this working? What a lot of crap that
is. Millennial magic. So it was from 4 to 7:30 p.m. in downtown Pflugerville. The weather did not cooperate this year. It was cold and it was rainy the entire time. You can see in some of the pictures how rainy it was. We had 48 floats registered. Only about 30 were actually able to make it. Which is still a great turnout, though, considering what that weather was like.
A lot of the walking floats still made it out.
Yeah, they still put in the miles. So there were 2 musical performances. Those were both high school jazz bands. We had the big man himself there. We also did the tree lighting. And we use a system called Placer AI, where if you visit a location, it uses data through your mobile provider to track you that you are a visit. It doesn't track who you are and where you are, but it does mark that you were in that place for more than, I believe it's 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we use that in a lot of our park systems to determine how many people have visited that park. And so for Festival of Lights, we had a little over 3,000 visitors. It also tracks how long people stay on average there, and so we had a 118-minute dwell time.
Wow.
Freeze flop, which is our version of a polar plunge, that was Monday, January 1st.
I went to it.
It was at Scott Mincer Pool from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. It was 45 degrees. That's 5 degrees colder than it was last year. And we had 3 more participants and about 5 pounds more of food this year.
What's
So
funny is the outside temperature was colder, but because that temperature had happened so last minute, it was like 80 degrees a couple days before, the water was actually a little warmer.
yeah, it was kind of nice.
But it was still cold.
It was still cold.
It was like being in a hot tub in the
Oh,
cold.
no,
so.
no.
Who's the recipient of those pounds of food?
That is
Community of Hope? Circle of Hope.
Circle of
Circle of
Hope.
Hope, okay.
Yeah. So all that food that's the ticket to entry, and so it's donated to Circle of Hope.
We did the goat skin this year. We are really on a pattern of what we're trying to do is the week between Christmas and New Year's. We have them do just a week and a half, sometime in that time frame of light off-season maintenance, and then we'll do a heavy 6 or 7 weeks, sometime in May and sometimes into June of in-season maintenance. And so we had them out again. These stinking goats. I don't know how they rate to chimpanzees, but they're outsmarting us at every turn. They were able to get through the first night. We had them out. They had something that scared them, and they pushed through that electric fence, which is only as good as the one person touching it, because if 30 of them touch it at once, or 300, it goes down pretty...
Evens it out.
Yeah, it goes down pretty quick. Disperses the shock. And so they were on the road of Pecan Street right in front of HEB at like 2 a.m. on a Friday night, which Junior can tell you about because he got a call from PD, and he called me as well, because if he's up, I'm up for some reason. And they had to gather all those up. My wife had to make Junior some cookies so he would be here tonight. And then a couple times they got across some land bridges or areas of the creek system and got into some areas they weren't supposed to. But for the most part, we were able to survive our goats this time around as well. Comings and goings. I like to update y'all on anyone coming or going. Isaac Espinoza is a city employee. He's been with the city for quite a while, actually, and he did CIP. He was the person that was involved with the transportation CIP and the bonds. So he was working on roads like Kelly Lane, and we said, hey, why don't you come do something with parks? And so he was down, and so he is going to be leading our bond program CIP. So all those bond programs that Jeff was talking about, he's getting up to speed on. His favorite food is Chinese food, and his hobbies are woodworking and painting. And then Kendra is a new part-time year-round specialist for us, and she came to us from the Fort Bend area, or the Houston area. She worked at the Fort Bend Library. Her favorite food is Korean barbecue, and her hobbies are Krav Maga and marathon running.
Marathon running, all right.
That's actually, I just made that last part up. I wasn't able to get with Kendra in time. She is from Fort Bend Library, but everything else I made up. So she kind of looks like a marathon runner, though,
Yeah.
right? So
You probably do it.
she probably could. And then our promotions, Fred promoted from a crew leader to a park op supervisor, 1 of 2 with Jose, directly under Junior running those crews. And then Randy promoted in his crew leader position as well. And as far as people leaving us, we've had none. So then you get a little gift that we're excited about. And that is it. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. This is for our new folks. We normally don't have 2-hour meetings, thank goodness. We normally have an hour and a half.
Especially without food.
That's right. That's right. I'll learn that lesson. We still have our dark sky discussion, and we actually have votes for chair and vice chair. Last year, we did the votes for chair and vice chair in February, but we also had Lisa, who had been, she termed out. So Lisa was like, Scott and a couple others had termed out, and she had been the chair for a couple years, so she carried it through. I'm doing it tonight. So before we get into these two discussions, just like head nods, do y'all have that time? Do you want to continue to go? Do we want to bump these to our February meeting?
Why don't we bump the chair and vice chair to February meeting to give people enough time to know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is that, you know, you're gonna put
That's why I
some
didn't do it
job
at the start of this one
descriptions.
too, and we can do it at the
Right.
same time as the subcommittee vote.
But how long, does that require a vote?
Nope,
Could I just
I
suggest-
can, since I'm in the role of the chair, I can just bump it.
Okay, and then Dark
Like
City.
your style.
I mean, I know what Dark City is, but y'all
Yeah,
wanna
we
talk
can
about
discuss
that?
Dark City.
Dark
if you
sky.
want.
Dark Sky.
Dark
Sorry,
sky.
I said Dark
Dark
Sky.
sky. All right, so
Lighting.
dark sky is something that was brought to us by Jennifer. Oh, look at that, turn 'em out, he leaves early.
This is what I was.
Yeah, this is why he came.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Oh,
Oh,
our plan worked, everybody.
no.
So
Read the minutes.
Jennifer brought that up. Should we do it next time for him, or?
We probably should. I didn't realize that he was.
I didn't either.
Yeah, at least give him the option. Sorry, I should have told you.
Yeah, it's all right. Do we
Well,
want
just
to?
get him to
run
do it
Shane,
now.
Run
Just
out there,
do it
run out there
now.
and get
I'm
it.
not gonna run.
Go, go Shane, go.
Well, he's got to go regardless.
If you
so
guys
it's
are okay bumping
either we're gonna
it,
do it or we're gonna bump it the next time.
Yeah, so
wanna
then it gives him the
postpone?
opportunity.
He's out the
to be
door.
here. Is
Okay.
that
Yep.
Yeah.
We're bumping.
okay?
Okay.
I'm excited about this though.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, you've got time to Google it now between now and next.
That's the only way I knew what it was.
I like
Oh,
dark
that's all
sky.
lights.
I was aware of it
Great
before. I
stuff.
was curious if that was something. I mean,
Yeah, it's good stuff.
given how close we are to
Maybe
other
do it a little earlier.
Yep.
highly
We can bump
populated
it up to
areas,
the
I'm
first
curious
thing.
to
Okay,
see how
cool.
feasible
Okay.
it is.
I'll let him know.
That's a good point.
Okay, we'll bump it up and we'll put it early in the meeting in February. But essentially, just so it's,
I thought he was coming back in.
isn't that funny? He heard us. It's an initiative that just tries to protect nighttime environment and communities through harmful light pollution. There are some program implementation strategies for it. And these are the places in Texas that do it currently. So we will revisit this and have a more robust discussion in February. And then we already did that. And then this will just be, we're gonna have a vote for chair and vice chair, and we'll combine those with the subcommittees. So, unless there's any concerns?
And you get paid when you're chair.
Right, yeah, you get so
Get some
much
chips.
Yeah.
love and
Fresh
affection.
ones.
Okay.
Is that the motion, is that the I to say, I move that we adjourn? Is
I'll
that
second.
what that was?
That's it. I was looking at you. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned, 9:04. Thank y'all, everybody.